Alright guys, welcome back to another video. This is a part of Python for beginners, and today we're going to talk about input function, how we use it, how we take input from a user and then we use it later in our program. And we're going to talk about that a little bit of general, then we're going to move on to a little bit of more basic stuff like how we can only initialize it for integers, strings, floats, whatnot. So just let's get started. Okay, the first thing we need to know is that how to initialize a variable, right? In the last video I told you a is equal to 2, you just initialize a variable right there. So now let's say I want a user, let's say I want you to enter a number for me. Let's say how we can do it. As a is equal to input, just like that, enter an integer, or just to be more precise, enter a number, right? I'm just gonna print a line here. Okay, then just to print my variable, I'm just gonna say you entered comma a, right? So this is pretty much it for input. So 2, you entered 2. But there's one thing that I want to talk about here. I want to talk about something that's really important here. We'll talk about the print function, the type function actually. So this right here, this line of code, this 2 words of code tells me the type of thing that I enter. So let's say I entered a number, but it says it's a string. Why is that? Alright, let's try it with a string. Let's say bucket. This one is correct, but this one is off. How do we fix that? Let me show you how to fix it. So in order to fix this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna say a is equal to integer, open and close bracket, then put input and just do the same, enter an integer, right? We're writing integer here. It's really important to write integer because we have initialized this line here that says you can only input integer. So I'm going to print the integer now. We say entered integer is print line comma a, right? So 3 or 4, whatever. If the entered integer is okay, let me show you one more thing here. That is going to be print type of a, right? So we put the type of a, so we enter 4 again. Now it says the class is integer because it is, right? So now we're gonna do it again. Now let's say we did put bucket. Wait a minute, we got an error. But previously it was working, right? When we enter the number here, it was working. It was working here. Why doesn't work here? Because we have integer here. That's the only reason this doesn't work. Now let's try it with a floating number. What is a floating number? 2.3, 2.4, let's say 2.3. Wait a minute, we got an error again. Why is that? This is the number that I entered. Because it's a floating point number. It will not be considered as integer in Python. Be careful about that. How do we fix that? We just put float right here in front of the old code if you want to use it for floating point. This is just a basic idea that I'm giving you here. Then we're going to talk about calculation here. Okay. Alright, let's run the program. Let's say I put an integer only, 2. This will automatically be considered as a floating number because the 0.0 that doesn't actually count when we talk about math here. But if I enter even 2.01, let's say I enter 2.01, it is considered a floating number. Why? Because there's a point and there's a value, some value that matters after the 0 and the point. Okay, so even if it was 2.111011, we will still consider the floating point. We can later change that when we talk about the type of numbers in another video. So this was the idea for the strings, for the numbers, right? Now let's talk about strings. Okay, I'm just gonna clear this, right? How you do initialize the idea, the same idea for the strings. Just like so, all you have to do is just put strings. We're gonna do string here. Doesn't matter if I could leave it same as it is, but I'm just gonna do it. String, enter string. Alright, so let's say my name is Baki, right? It says enter string is my name is Baki class string. That's a pretty basic idea of understanding the input. Now let's talk about calculations, right? We're gonna perform calculations on integers, or we're gonna perform calculations on double value. You can try it yourself. I'm gonna just talk about the integers. Do calculation of two numbers, addition, or in other words, sum of two numbers. How are we gonna do that? Okay, let me zoom in a little bit more. So we're gonna say our variable is a is equal to integer, right? Input, not int man input, right? Enter first integer, right? Now this is only an integer. B is equal to my second variable, actually. Just copy this. And, all right. So what we did here is that I told my user to enter an integer. Just int here, open brackets, put input, open brackets, and put your statement, whatever you want. You can totally ignore this and you can just do the program, but then you are the only one who knows that I'm doing addition or putting an integer. So that, but if you do this one, your user will know that this thing is an integer and I have to put an integer. So in the second B again, I did the same thing. I just changed to, oh wow, right, I need to change it to second integer, right? It's pretty funny. All right, so now we can either do it like this, sum is equal to 0, or we can just do print the sum of two integers is n, and I'll say a plus b, just like that. Pretty simple. All right, that's into 5 and maybe 8. The sum of two integers is 13, just like that. So let's say I enter 0 and I enter 99999. The sum is 99947. Similarly, you can perform other calculations. I'm just gonna do it right here. I don't know. A minus b, a multiplied by b, a divided by b. The, the division, the multiplication, the subtraction of two integers. Alright, so this is it. Right. Just in the end, I just want to say print the type of A and also print the type of B. I just want to know like what type of integers do I have here. Okay, so this is pretty basic stuff that I'm talking about here. So yeah, shows the type of variable A again, and the second one shows the type of variable B. Right? We could do this whole thing by defining another variable. sum, then multiplication, then division, and subtraction, but we're avoiding all that just in one line of code. Okay, so let's run. Enter first integer will be 8, second will be 5. Alright, so the sum of two integers, let's check, 8 and 5 is 13. Subtraction, 8 minus 5 is 3, multiply 8 5 is 40, the division, you can do that, and it's 1.6. So you see, it's pretty simple when you talk about this. Alright guys, so that is pretty much it for the video. I hope you like it, and I hope you understand. If you have any other questions regarding this, you can ask me in the comment section below, or you can email me on my email, Facebook, whatever you like. You can talk to me over there. And as always, like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next one. See you.